What is going on, guys? We have an exciting video here. As you can see, the GT500 engine is behind me. You guys saw the cam degree in the last video. Probably have some ported lower intake stuff coming too. We're going to hopefully finish this thing off today. So I'll let Jordan fill you in on exactly the process we're going through. We'll answer some of you guys' questions. I am super excited. Make sure you hit the like button down below if you guys are excited. And Jordan also has a YouTube channel now too. So I'm gonna leave a link down below and a thing right up there for you guys to go subscribe to it, which he's gonna start making some cool videos too, which I'm really excited about too.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jordan from My Joy Head Shop here with Andrew. Today we're going to be buttoning this thing up. Andrew told me he put a little plug out there that I'm going to start my own channel. So I do have a channel right now with a couple just like spool up videos and stuff from a while back. Haven't done much with it, but now I'm going to take it seriously, and I'm going to plan to do some really good tech videos. Pretty much cover a bunch of different stuff. Have some fun skits and stuff like that too. Product reviews, maybe some shop tours. I have a couple buddies have some pretty cool shops that are worth looking at, and some build recipes. So if you have anything that you would like me to discuss or any topic suggestions, just drop them in the comments and we'll get back to you. Couple comments from the last video. First one was safety glasses. Yes, I did get caught not wearing safety glasses, blowing some parts off in the safety clean tank, which that, you know, there's no excuse for that. I am normally the safety glasses guy in the machine shop. I'm always making sure my guys have safety glasses on, but I got a little distracted with all the filming and everything going on. But thank you for calling me out. That is what you should do, is call somebody out for that. And I will make sure I have the safety glasses on today. So what we're going to start with, I was going to pull the heads off and swap the springs before, but Andrew said, you know, there's a lot of guys like wondering like, oh, how do you not lose time and how is he going to do this? So I'm going to show that. We kind of went over that in the teardown, but that's a long time ago. So I'm going to show you how I do it here, and then I'm going to go swap springs and we'll put everything back in with the lash adjusters and followers. I'm going to go ahead and untorque these bolts here, get the caps off, and then I will show you the removal technique that I use. Alright, so cam removal. We'll do this one first just because it's easier angle. Alright, so you want to have a pretty small paper clip and you want it angled inwards so you don't get snagged on the gear here. We got that there. So now we are going to lift up on the cams. Let me get it to a kind of a neutral position. Just like that. Alright. So now when I come back, all I'm literally going to do is just line up my secondary chain to the correct dots on the sprocket. Right. You haven't loosened the sprocket, so you're not going to lose time.
Yeah, because the chain isn't keeping your time. That's just marked up to wherever you have it marked, right?
Correct. Yep, it's the same chain that we used, going in the same head. Everything's the same. You know, I started doing this years ago because when you're out there leaning on stuff, I have some customers, they lift the head every once in a while. Competition engines. Well, every time the head comes in servicing or surfacing, whichever, you know, I got to take the head apart. I'm not going to redegree the cams every single time when what's been, you know, it's already been working. Taking a couple thousandths off the head isn't going to make a huge difference. So that's why we do it like this. This allows me to use my checker springs with the bigger retainers, which is, the bigger retainers are a huge help. Degreeing cams with these little bitty retainers is not any fun.
You can see that right there. And one more.
One more. So get the cams kind of to a position where they want to be moved. Let's see if I can, doing this kind of blind, so we'll see if I can do it here where everybody else can see a little bit better. Just like that. I'm going to pop the heads off real quick. I'm going to go swap springs. We'll go through the torquing procedures there, and then I'm going to go through inspecting the lash adjusters and followers. Some of the GT lash adjusters are typically, they are a quick bleed style, so they're typically soft all the time. Every now and then you'll find one that's a little bit hard, so we'll just bleed it down in the vise before we install it, and that's it.
Get to see your pistons again.
Oh. Alright. left side cylinder head is ready to go back on.
Yeah, we didn't film it, but same process as we showed before. And
The head assembly for swapping out the springs.
Now I have already lubed these, but I'm gonna add just a little bit to the top, so I'm gonna separate them real quick. It's not really necessary, I'm just picky. So, I said in the video before, this is, I mean, it's not a game changer, but it's somewhat important. You don't want to get lube necessarily under the washer. No, it should be dry. It's knurled on this side, so it should be fairly dry. We don't want the washer to spin against the head. We want the nut to spin against the washer. It came loose when I was pulling the nuts off before. Alright. ARP now calls for 85 pounds for these. These are the ARP 2000 head studs. Years ago, it used to be 90 pounds, and so I've stuck with the 90 regardless of what their instructions say. I wouldn't go any higher than that. That is where we are going today. 90 pounds, 3 increments, 30, 60, 90. If you're doing this on an LS, it's 3 Ooga Googas. There's a couple different patterns you can do for torquing. The one that comes in ARP's instructions is fine. You know, it's either going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or just go from the inside out. I don't really see a big deal with, you know, if you want to do this one first, then this one. It doesn't matter which of these 4 you do next. Just move your way out. I still use this little one for up to 100 pounds. Then, after 100 pounds, I'll use this big old boy back here. That's for like 12mm coyote stuff. Probably the worst thing to do is OEM head bolts on a 12mm coyote. This will work out in a half. When you get up there in the torque, you want to make sure that you do it in one sweeping pull. So don't start right close to your body. You want to kind of start farther out so you know you're going to have enough room to get all the way up to your stopping point. You do not want to be ratcheting it at 80 pounds, you know, trying to get to 90. You do not want to do that.
goodbye, pistons.
Bye, till next time. Yeah, now we're just going to repeat the same process on this side. I will go get the lash adjusters and followers, and we're going to inspect those real quick. Putting it all together, and then some timing chains and oil pump.
Oh boy! Oh, we got something special for that, right?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah. Show you my favorite oil pump setup. All right, now we're just gonna clean the lash adjusters and followers. They've just been sitting since we took them apart last time, and then I'm gonna blow the lash adjusters out in their little orifice holes, and then if they're like this one is really hard, we'll bleed that down in the vise, just a little bit. That one's a little tough. Some of them are where they should be like that. Kind of what I want to see. Alright, so I've got them all cleaned and blown out. So now I'm just going through just to see the travel. So that is like what I'm looking for right there. Some of them just get really hard. What we're going to do is the ones that are good we'll put to the right. The ones that are not, like that's a little tight, we'll put it over here and we'll bleed them down. That one's a little bit tight. I'm not trying to kill the thing, just put a little bit of pressure on it until it starts bleeding out. There we go. I always hear guys talk about soaking your lash adjusters in oil. The oil viscosity is so thick, do you really think it's going to fill up that whole body inside through that little hole? Doubtful. I would never worry about doing that. As soon as you fire the engine up, you're going to have instant oil pressure in there. I'm simply just going to move these over here to the valley so I don't have to keep reaching. What I typically do, I just put a little bit of assembly lube on the bottoms, just kind of dip it in there like that. Now these lash adjusters, the exhaust ones, you can run these on a 4.6, a standard 4.6 or a standard 5.4. The only thing is you must use the 4GT follower with this lash adjuster. And the reason for that is the quick bleed style lash adjuster like this pushes out a ton more oil. The GT follower is all encapsulated with a little bitty hole right there in the end, and that's just going to spray high pressure oil onto the roller. Whereas the ones that you saw me use for cam degree have a hole straight up. You will have very, very low oil pressure in the cylinder head if you do it like that. It's a better design than OEM for the 4.6 and the standard 5.4 stuff. Now I'm not going to lube the top of them right now. I'm actually going to put the same lube that we used for the connecting rod bolts into the cup of the follower, just like you would a rocker arm where the push rod would sit.
I have no idea. I don't know how those things work.
No.
I have a Fox body.
Does it have a push rod?
Yeah.
Oh dude, let's build a motor. Let's build a motor. I can build push rod motors too.
Well, there's some weird things over there.
Yeah. I prefer, if we're doing push rod stuff, I prefer really high-end stuff. Belt drive, Jessel rocker arms, thick push rods, good reliable stuff. I'm not a big, if I want to do a push rod, I want to do a solid roller. I'm not really into the hydraulic roller stuff.
Or we do it right with an LS.
Not a fan of the LS stuff. Of their, at least their valve train stuff. But it's my LS here in the background. You can see I'm a rebel. It's got beehive springs. Beehive spring the world. Alright, we got all of our lash adjusters in now. Now we're going to put the followers on top and then the camshafts. This hole right here, I just put a little bit of lube. Just it's exactly what I do with push rod motors. If you have a rocker arm where the push rod sits, that is where all the damage is done during startup if there's not oil present. So high pressure lube is the same stuff I use for the connecting rod bolts. Put a little bit there for the valve tip. Cam time. Alright, now we are ready for the cams. Got all the lash adjusters and followers on. I said this before in the other video. I know there's a tool out there that people use to put their followers in and they just kind of... I have never used that tool. I will never use that tool. This is the way I prefer to do things. I've never used plastic gauge either. People need to quit using that crap. So I already have my chains marked before. I actually had a guy send an email asking, you know, what was the reasoning for that. So maybe I didn't explain it very well in the first video, but these are the chains from AccuFab, and they don't come with any markings. So you just want to mark them like the OEM chains. That way you know what link goes on the timing dots. We can't see the sprockets awesome, but Ford is really good about having a line where your timing mark is. So I'm literally just going to mark that. For reference, we'll mark this. So there's no confusion. It's 180 degrees from the keyway slot. Now, before I do this, one more important thing. I kind of went over this in another video. Quit putting your timing chains on at 10 o'clock. There's two pistons at the very top of the deck at 10 o'clock. I put these camshafts in here. We start torquing bolts down. Those valves can hit those pistons. So, 9 o'clock. Now all the pistons are safely under the deck. So we can turn the camshaft as much as we need to get the primary chain lined up. Bottom first. Loop up. Alright. We are pretty close there. There we go. And there we go. Now I'm just going to get the chain to relax. Get a good spot where we can torque everything down. Somewhere around there. Alright, and we'll start putting our caps on and then slowly torque them down, and then we'll put some tension on the chain. Yep, they're just sitting up just a little bit. Start from the middle here. Just get these, I mean, just snug. You can see I'm not putting a ton of pressure. I'm just using my wrist. And that'll get the camshaft to kind of, as you can see it coming down. Yep. Mm-hmm. It might look like there's a ton of force being used, but it's really not. I mean, we're just getting them straightened out. These are doweled, so you don't want to just start jamming them in there and booger up the dowel holes. This is a pretty good method. Alrighty, so I got them all just kind of snug right now. So basically we're just going to go through and torque them to spec. These factory cam bolts get torqued to 90 inch-pounds. I started inside out before, so now I'm just going to go down the line, top, second, third, fourth, and we're just going to double check, make sure everything's good to go, and then we'll mark that we've checked them. Alright, we're moving on to timing components now. Before, when we did the cam degree video, I was just using a mock-up oil pump. It was just a stocker. So here, this is like my favorite combination. This is the Melling M360, and I'm just using this for the housing. It does have a steel back plate, just like the now discontinued GT500 pump. And then these are some special S7 tool steel oil pump gears. Use these in a few select engines. Super, super, super duper high quality. I mean, you can just see the finish is ridiculous. Amazing machine work. Really tight tip clearance. So we'll go ahead and pull this apart and install the new gears. Here's the old stock gear here. We'll go ahead.
You'd be like every coyote owner ever and drop them on the ground.
Drop them on the ground. Never seen that.
Really?
Want to see if they'll break?
Yeah.
I guarantee you this gear doesn't break.
Yeah. Now I've seen pretty much everyone drops them separate, like the outer first, but if you drop them together, they don't usually break. The stock ones.
Never tried that. But that doesn't surprise me. It's powdered metal. I mean, anything that's super duper heat treated is going to be somewhat brittle.
We won't have any problems with these.
No, we will not. Here's the tricky part. Much tighter tolerance than the factory gear. There we go. It didn't fight me, really.
So you'll have these oil pump gears on your website now?
Yep. Yeah, we will. They're only going to be available. I'm only going to be selling them for the 3-valve pump and the Coyote, the 560 Coyote. If you have an F-150, don't bother getting a gear that's the F-150 510 width. If your year and model require that, just get a Mustang pump housing. They're pretty inexpensive. And then for the 3-valve, or the GT500, same thing. We will offer it in this assembly, and then I will offer it in the OEM 3-valve pump, but that does no longer come with a billet back plate. Easiest thing to do is kind of figure out where your flat is here, and then get the two pieces there lined up. Just like that. Oh, no, that one goes there after we put the chain guide on. We'll get these 3 snugged up and then we'll put the chain guide on. Alright, so from the Cam Degree video, Shelby Mike Racing, billet timing chain guide. So I did not have the new liners when we filmed that, so we just used his old ones, and literally they're in good condition. You could reuse this, no problem, but we're doing everything new. Pull these apart.
And that's the only way to get new liners, is just order some OEM ones.
Yeah, these are fairly inexpensive. It kind of sucks that you're having to sacrifice a part, but it is just like cheap cast aluminum. Eventually, I may experiment with some Delrin or acetal style plastic liners. They're a lot more rigid than this. I'm actually pretty sure that's what this is a acetal or Delrin, some type of that. So it would be nice to be able to machine these or have somebody machine them for us. But I'm not familiar with plastic machining, so maybe that'll be a YouTube channel project.
There you go.
There's some cool stuff that I want to make. Cool. These are good. Here's the last oil pump bolt. Just going to get that started.
They look nice with some brand new liners on them.
They do. It's a nice contrast in color.
Yeah, someone was complaining on Facebook because they didn't watch the video. Shame. But they were like, oh, why are you reusing the guides? Well, if you watched the video, you would have known.
My fault. Forgot to order them. I'm a busy dude. Alright, so this one's a little bit weird. So for those of you that don't know, on like a traditional 4-valve, you would actually have a bolt here and a bolt here. This one uses 2 up here, but it has nothing down here but this little bitty dowel, and that sits right there. So it's a little bit different. It's the same for the iron block GT500 as well. We got one over there, it's got the same kind of plug in it. Dowel. Alright, next is the GT500 sprocket from Boundary. We keep plenty of these in stock. Fit just a tad snugger than stock. So, try to push it with my fingers. I might have to tap it just a little bit. If you do have to tap it, the best thing to do is use what I turn the crankshaft with. And there we go. Alright, crank is still at 9 o'clock. However, the camshafts decide to do whatever they want to do when you're putting them on like this, so we do need to rotate and get this dot somewhere around this area. Let me get that rotated, and then we will put the timing chains on. Brand new OEM Ford chains.
Do you want to talk about upgraded chains versus the OEM chains and How do you think that's
Sure.
going to hold up? Because I know there's a lot of...
There is no upgrade for the primary. If you want to upgrade for the primary, you can probably call Morris or Ewis or some chain manufacturer like that and tell them you're going to give them 10 grand and make you a one-off chain. Other than that, and the primary chain is not a roller design. If you look, it's a different style chain than the secondary.
So you don't find an issue with this chain, with this setup?
No, I mean, if you're out turning a ton of RPM, and I say a ton, 9 grand and higher. You know, maybe every 100, 150 passes, put a new set of chains in there, just to be safe. But I don't ever see a problem with the primary chains. OEM secondary chains are weak anytime we upgrade the valve springs. So that's my rule of thumb. You want to get your head serviced here. You want to replace it with stock springs, that's fine. Stock cams, that's fine. If you want to upgrade the springs, I don't care what it is. Anytime we're upgrading the spring pressure, and more importantly, the spring rate, that has a lot to do with the secondary chain, you know, how much it can hold. My rule of thumb is upgrade the valve springs, upgrade the secondary chain on a 4 valve. And but I have no problem with the OEM stuff. I think Morris has been making the primary chains for Ford forever, and they're doing a pretty darn good job. So.
Yeah, and the only other option is what, to swap to the Navigator valve covers and...
So yeah, I have heard of some guys grinding on the GT500 valve covers. I don't think it needs a ton of clearance, but it'll sit sits about that far off if you try to put the Navigator stuff on there. So yes, if you want to upgrade to a, you know, and when they say 10 millimeter, it's not like the chain is so much wider. It's a spacing between it, you know, on the gear. It's much, these teeth are closer together. So if you want to do that, you can absolutely run Navigator style guides. I believe Shelby Mike has them, and I know that AccuFab sells a set for that as well. Yeah, you wouldn't really have to change anything. All the secondary stuff would be exactly the same except for the primary sprocket, and you could use an adjustable one from Comp or whoever if you wanted to do that, or just use an OEM one like this, and you know, follow the way we did it that way. All right, so we're just going to move it just a little bit here. It does have quite a little bit of spring pressure. All right. Just remember, you do not want to turn the crankshaft at all, even once you get this one on. So, and that is because you don't know which valves are open on the other bank, and so you don't want to smash them if they're hanging open. Alright, so we couldn't show you the whole thing because I was struggling a little bit, and so Andrew had to help me. These chains are quite a bit tighter than the ones that we took off of there, and we have so much. You can see how tight all the guides and everything are down here. You don't have a ton of wiggle room. So this is really good for supporting the chain and keeping the chain straight, but it is not, doesn't make it the easiest for the install, especially for one person. So hopefully I can pull this one off by myself. We'll see. We still have not moved the crankshaft, so all the pistons are still safely up under the deck. Don't ever test spin this portion without this chain being hooked up. You may come back around and it may look like they're timed right, but you're going to have both banks opening valves at the same time. Should be 180 degrees off.
Almost.
Am I there? I'm one off, right?
Yep. Oh. It went one past it.
Oh, it did?
Oh, yeah, you got it. You got enough
I got it?
right there. Yep.
Okay.
Sweet.
Pull the ratchets out. Get one more turn. So what you want to do is to see if the chain is actually tight. Go counterclockwise on the crank, or on the camshaft, and that will, as you can see, take all the tension, put it here, put the slack here, and you can just kind of reach down here. I'm not putting very much pressure. 2 fingers worth of pressure on the cam, and put your ratchet down there. Just like that. I would not suggest prying here or any of that. Whatever pressure you can do from the camshaft, just to get the ratchet out a little bit more, that'll be fine.
It's looking pretty, dude.
It is looking pretty. So all we have left now are the covers, balancer. Let me show you this beautiful intake manifold.
Yeah, buddy.
What's up, everybody? So yesterday we left off where we had just got all the timing chains, oil stuff, our oil pump put on there, and got everything timed right. So we're ready for covers at this point. Haven't touched these covers since the original teardown. Typically I would, but you know, we're gonna just try to include every little bit into this build. So here's how the valve covers are right now. I'm gonna pull the old gaskets off. These will typically swell with oil, or it looks like one's already cut here somehow. My break-in stuff, so if you buy an engine from me, it's gonna be in the break-in paperwork.
We cut it.
You cut it?
Remember I tore it down to find the rod. We took the valve covers off, and the gasket, we only just wanted to set the covers on it.
Okay.
Just to cover the engine, and we cut it just to make it really quick.
Okay, cool.
Rather than just, we wanted to still rubber on it, but.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But yeah, we did it. I was thinking, I'm like,
That's funny. Okay, so I know a lot of guys have their valve covers powder coated when they're off. That requires some type of abrasive to get the old paint off, whether it be sand, glass bead, shot peen, something like that. Anyways, this is a great place for that stuff to get caught. So my suggestion would be take these off before you even take your stuff to get powder coated, and then you can thoroughly clean up under there. So we're not powder coating these. I did not throw these in the hot tank because I didn't really want to run the paint on them. But we are going to remove the baffles now, and then I'm just going to clean this in our mineral spirits. This is my final clean tank, and then we'll set them to the side until we're ready for them. This is really a step where I can see a lot of people skipping, but if there's any type of contaminants up in there, it will make its way down into the engine, and that is not going to be good.
same process on the other side.
Yep, now that we're going for the same process. Alright, next up is the oil pan. We've already run this through our hot tank, but I'm gonna give it one final clean. Hot tank doesn't mean everything's perfectly clean. I'm gonna pull this baffle out real quick. All that extra crap up under here, you would have never seen if I didn't take that baffle out. That's why you want to take the baffle out. Just make sure there's nothing else up under there. Any little particle. We got 2.5 thousandths or so of bearing clearance. Every particle in there is probably larger than that, so that would get stuck into the bearing. Alright, so I got all my basic covers clean, oil pans clean, valve covers are clean. We do have to reassemble the baffles. Next thing in line is going to be checking the oil pump pickup tube clearance. That's very important, especially when you're changing stuff around. You know, we're using ARP main studs. Anytime you're changing fasteners, there's a good chance you're going to change the geometry there. So we're going to measure that. Just going to use clay, but you're going to want to mock everything up. You do not have to bolt the oil pan down. You can simply just press down with your hands pretty hard. The oil pan's pretty rigid. It's not going to flex and give you a false reading. My numbers I'm looking for is somewhere between 320 380 thousandths. You know, if you're a little bit higher than that, that's fine, but just realize you are cheating yourself out of oil capacity at that point. I would not recommend, you know, much tighter than 300 thousandths because there's cavitation problems when you get too close to the bottom of the pan. So we'll flip this over and show you how to mock it up.
A little heavier now.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Good chance it's coming off, so I'm just going to snug it for now. Got a little bit of clay here. I'm just going to just like that. Put our pan on here. Until it's already touching. I brought some calipers in here, but I think I don't know what I did with them, so I'm gonna grab my calipers real quick and we'll go measure this. Alright, so make sure we're at 0. It's about 300. Yep, 300. So I'm a little bit, I want to take a little bit off just to get a tiny bit more clearance. And typically these are not so flimsy, but we are down in Florida and it's probably got hot in a warehouse. So what I'm going to do is I am going to throw a couple bolts in here and we're going to tighten it down. Typically you do not have to do that. Here I am, put my foot in my mouth. We're doing it. I'd like to get a really accurate reading. It was fighting me a little bit, as you can see. Alright, tighten it up. And now, pull it back off. Okay, I think that got a little bit more smashed. So, glad we double checked it that way. Oh yeah. You were tight.
Yep.
260 or so. So I'm gonna get right at 320, 325, so no big deal. Pull it back off. We're gonna take the standoff over next door into the machine shop. Take 60 thou off. We should be ready to buggy. Last time we were here was we were cutting valve guides, I think, for the cylinder head video.
Yep.
Yep. So I gotta scoot a couple things over real quick, load a new tool, and then we will take 60 thou off this bad boy. Alright, we're back. Just took 60 thou off. And that should get me right at 320. So,
I would have never known to do that. Like if I was just picking up the long block, I would have never checked that.
yeah. So very important to check. Me and Andrew were really talking about like clearances and stuff last night. I'm not going to go into bearing clearances. I don't give any of that stuff out to anybody. What I use for my bearing clearances is I keep that to myself. However, two things. The 1,000ths of oil clearance per inch of journal size, it needs to be more than that. It really does. On an aluminum block for the mains is the only time that does not apply, but on the rods, hands down, 2,000ths of oil clearance on the rods is not enough. That's my opinion. When it really comes down to it, you need to, before you even start, you need to have all these tolerances either written down or in your head, and you have to give a shit. You cannot just say, oh, well, that's close enough. Nope. It needs to hit your window, or you do not let it go out the door, or you don't finish that. You stop and you go back. So same thing like this. Yeah, 260 is probably not a big deal, but that's not what I recommend. That's not what I really want, and so I'm not going to bend the rules for that. So that is something that if you're at home and you're doing this for the first time, do not make exceptions. Figure out a way to make it correct. We'll go back. We're going to mock it at the same time. Yeah, this stuff's a pain in the ass. I mean, you're constantly putting stuff on, mocking it up, measuring, but that is how you get it to be right. And once it's right, it's going to last a long time. Now, for those of y'all wondering, well, what happens if, you have too much clearance? You can just use a washer. Just use a washer and make yourself a little spacer, depending on how far off it is. And then adjust your height from there. A moment of truth. It's looking a little bigger.
Not as smushed. Very
Not as
scientific.
smushed. Yeah. Slightly less.
I think that's exactly what you wanted, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I'm not you got to get in a window. So that's pretty relaxed right there. I'd say, it's somewhere between 325 and 330. What I was talking about earlier is don't bend it. Don't be like, oh yeah, look. Oh yeah. Here's my clearance. Don't do that. Well, this can stay here. I'm just going to torque these down to spec, and we're ready to put the timing cover on.
Oh boy.
Fun. Well, we got to put the crate trigger on first and a little washer, but other than that, we are ready. All right, we got everything tightened down here. We got a good oil pump pickup clearance, so now I'm going to spin this over, and I'm going to put the timing cover on. Yeah, I don't recommend, you can do a 4/6 aluminum block if you wanted to with a 3-wheeler, but I don't recommend doing a 4-valve or a 5.4, or especially a 5.4 4-valve without a 4-wheel stand. It just gets too rocky. Alright, so we're going to put our gaskets on. I'm going to replace the rear or the front seal.
There she goes.
That one is out. Nice little kit that Permatex sells for their the right stuff. That's what I recommend for silicone. I'll have these up on the site here soon. I want to say it's like 20-something dollars. You get the gun and 2 tubes of this, so it's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you're gonna reuse this stuff, just leave a little bit hanging off, right? And once it dries like that, then you can just pop it off the end. It's better than putting a cap on. Because once this dries up, then you might as well just throw it away. So, alright, so we're going to put silicone a couple little places. Right here, right there, same on this side. Once I flip this over, I do like to put just a little bit at the bottom here too on both sides of the gaskets. Alright, while we got the engine flipped over, just torqued down the oil pan, everything's good there. We're going to put the freeze plugs in. This is what I use for an adhesive for freeze plugs, Indian head shellac. We use it on all of our freeze plugs that go in either the engine blocks or the cylinder heads. And I'm very picky about freeze plugs. Deep style brass plug, not made in China. They're probably 4 times the price of the Pioneer Chinese ones, but I like them. They work good, never have a problem. And then this is the installer. So, it doesn't really matter what you use. You can buy an installer like this. We make them whenever we need them for a different size plug. But you just want to make sure that the bottom here does not hit. Do not put a socket in the middle of this because then you will collapse the wall. And I'm also picky about the orientation. So if anybody ever tries to sell a block or a short block, and you say it's MHS built, and it doesn't have their freeze plugs in like that, and it's definitely not mine. I'm just going to put a little bit of silicone here. Alright, so we're getting close. One of the last things we're going to do is put the balancer on. Andrew's got a new ATI balancer. Here's the hub. I'm going to put the hub on first. And we are using crank stud from my buddy Mitch, Kinetic Motorsports. Check his website out. It's got an awesome drawing of the crank snout. Pretty much there's a void here where there's a relief cut in the crankshaft, and he has taken up that space so the bolt can't flex very much. It doesn't have very far to go. Typically, on a standard 4.6, where the threads are a little bit closer, I'd use an installer like this. It's got a big nut, big washer, and a needle bearing for your thrust. Okay? I can't do that. Now, I never really recommend drawing the balancer on with the factory bolt. It's a good way to strip. We got a stud here. We have plenty of thread engagement. And so what I've done, got a couple extra ARP washers, the 4654. I have these in stock for my crank stud mods for the Coyote and for the 4.6 Manly crank. But we are going to put the needle bearing between the two hardened washers, and that will give us some good, it will help me put the hub on. So this is dual keyed. I did not know they came from ATI dual keyed already. This crank is not dual keyed. I'm very confident that this stud has plenty of clamping force, that we do not need the dual key. So we will fill one of the key slots up with silicone, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got about at least 5 threads right there. And also you want to check your balancer ID here to the OD here. I checked this earlier. We have about a thou to 12/10 press fit. Don't really want a ton more than that. I'd say 1.5 thou. So you should measure this, and if this is too tight, take it to your local machine shop. These can easily be resized on a connecting rod hone. I'm gonna put just a little bit of this high pressure lube here on the crank washers. All right, here we go. So far so good. I'm using minimal force, and that is really due to that Torrington style needle bearing in there. All right, we are bottomed out. There we go. Now I spin it over. All right, so this is how we're gonna torque the crank stud down on the stand. I'm gonna need a little bit of help from Andrew, but we're literally just gonna put this breaker bar right here. You can hold that, and then the engine stand will hold it once it gets to that point.
All right, so we got that there. Had to hold it. And what'd you torque it to?
150.
150.
Yes. Lots and lots and lots of moving parts. Okay, I think we just have the oil cooler assembly.
Oil cooler, water pump, and...
Dipstick.
oh yeah, that thing.
That's it. Then we're gonna get it up in the air and put the rear main seal on.
Woo!
Then it's going in the back of Andrew's truck. Alright, so we got the oil cooler assembly on. Now we're gonna put the water pump on. Got a new O-ring here. Alright, so it's been another long day. We got this thing buttoned up. It's ready to go over to Andrew's shop, but in the GT500. What I'm going to do now is just how I kind of prep any other engine that's going out. We're going to mask the ports off, mask the coil covers off because there's no spark plugs in it right now, and a couple little other places, and that's it. So my suggestion is, if you get an engine from me, do not take the masking tape off until you're ready to put the intake manifold on. That's how stuff gets dropped down in there.
A little tight on your masking tape gaskets.
Hmm?
It's a little tight on your masking tape gaskets.
Yeah. That's alright.
Those of you who know what this is normally supposed to look like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. Just this whole engine. I mean, how can you not love this massive thing? You would think it's, 500 plus cubic inch. It's not, but it's very interesting.
351, right? That's what it is.
Don't catch me off guard like that, bro. It's somewhere around there, yeah.
I don't know the old school stuff. I know it's a 5.8 liter.
Yeah. I'll show everybody a real cool trick real quick if you want. Cubic inch calculator?
Sure.
Okay. Cubic inch calculator. Oh, see, I'm already too tired. I'm clicking on the clock. Okay, so bore times stroke times the amount of cylinders times 0.7854. Real easy to remember because they're all next to each other. So 3.681 times 3.681 times 4.165 times 8 times 0.7854, 354 and a half cubic inch.
Yep. Close to 351.
Yep.
Alright, let's put the blower on top.
Let's put the blower on top. Yep. Alright, this is definitely not the finished product, but it pretty much, this is what it's going to look like, so.
Looks pretty freaking wild. The
Yep.
ported Gen 3R, ported lower, ported heads.
Upgraded intercooler.
Whew. It's looking wild,
Compression,
dude.
good cams. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to see some monster power out of this thing.
Hell yeah.
I think you'll see a lot more guys porting their heads and going to, aftermarket camshafts after this.
I'm excited to see what it does.
Me too. Had some pretty good luck on similar setups in the past. Almost identical setups. Making big power and pretty low boost numbers. So we'll see. I'm not going to give away any numbers yet.
It'll be 4 digits.
It'll be 4 digits. I think it can make 4 digits on less than 20 pounds. That's the goal. 4 digits to the tire at less than 20 pounds. There's absolutely no reason it won't do that. Alright, so we're about to load this thing up. Last thing I need to do is the rear main seal plate and the rear oil gallery plug.
We got Dave manning the crane here.
Yep.
Hello, everybody.
This is Dave. This is my resident hippie.
Almost 8 years now.
Yep, 8 years Dave's lived here.
And
24-hour security, jack of all trades.
And
Dave
it's-
pretty much builds every single crate for every single engine that gets shipped out. Packs up most of the head boxes. I need to get a dowel pusher for that. Hold on one second.
I admit, it's been a pleasure working with him. Turned into the best friend that I have.
There you go.
Do anything for him. Watch this shop come up from nothing to a contender. In my own humble way, I think I've done a little bit. No, I drank a lot of beer here.
Yeah. Believe me, nobody parties harder than Dave. Alright, last part here, rear main cover. Okay, we are ready to load up. I'm ready for a beer. Whew, it has been a long day.
That is one complete 5.8.
That's right.
Don't drop it, Dave.
I'm not Dave.
I'm just getting it a little closer before I crank her any higher.
You good?
Good. All
There
right.
she is.
Another engine in a truck.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a reward. So obviously there's a little bit of delay between what happens in real time and what I upload, and it takes a while to upload videos, but here's a little idling video. Just a sneak peek right here. So go ahead and comment that the other people who didn't watch the full video, they're missing out. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give the video a big like and thumbs up. Hopefully we can do some more videos with Jordan in the future, possibly a 2-valve built engine, stuff like that. So if you guys need anything at all, obviously we wrapped up with the GT500 engine, but if you guys need anything, make sure you hit up Jordan, Modular Head Shop. They build engines for you guys. So obviously we support Jordan. He's going to support us right back, and we'll be able to do so many more awesome things in the future with him. So I hope you guys are excited to see the engine go in and the startup and the idle, and it is going to make some awesome power. So there's a lot of things that we got to do, but I give you guys that little reward for making it all the way here. So if you guys can just hit the like button again, go over to Jordan's channel, Modular Head Shop, go subscribe. He's going to be doing some videos here soon. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, leave it down below, and I think that's going to wrap it up. Yeah, I'm excited for everything to come, so we'll see you guys.